welcome to Mickey Art. My name's Michelle Edhouse and today we're going to paint a wave. Well, that's what this is starting out as. Let's see what it ends up as. Those of you that have been following me for a while know that what I start out creating doesn't always end up what it is supposed to look like. But what I did think was there's a few of you on here that are new and I haven't shown this for a while. Just to make sure that the canvas is up off the ground, I always put, well, most of the time, sometimes I sit them on cans, but I put these little push pins into the four corners so that you can see, so that it lifts the canvas up off the ground. The cool thing about these push pins is they're all the same height. Well, if you buy the same brand every time, of course, and so you know that if they're pushed in flush with the wood, they're all going to be at the same height, and you should, if you've got a level table, have a level canvas. So this is a 16 by 20 canvas, and the first thing I'm going to do is start off with a layer of my blank space paint. I've started calling it blank space paint because the technical term for it is negative space, and I'm not into negative, so I choose to rename it. Let's just check that this new batch is nice and runny. It could do with being a little bit more runny. So guys, when I mix my paints, I'm mixing them with Floetrol and water. Now please know that how much Floetrol to how much paint to how much water varies from paint brand to paint brand, and some of you might get a better result using a specific pouring medium. Some of you, oh, that's not very mixed together. I did a bad job of stirring that. Some of you might get a better result with glue and water. Some of you might get a better result with Floetrol and glue and pouring medium. This is a game of play. So experiment. If you're going to copy somebody else's recipe, make sure you're copying all of it. The same brand of glue, the same brand of paint, the same brand of Floetrol. They all are slightly different in some way. So please, please, please make sure that you, if you want to get a fixed recipe, then use exactly what they say and how they say it to use it. So there's a clunk in this. So when I say I use Floetrol and water, all except for this paint, my big masses of white like this is actually house paint rather than the Reeves Fine Artist acrylics. It is the cheapest brand I can get at Bunnings, which also turns out to be the cheapest brand I can find anywhere, but it also works. So use what works. That's always a good hint for anyone. If it doesn't work, don't use it, or find a way to make it work, but don't sit there and complain it's not working. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is the saying of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again expecting a different result. Have you heard that one before? I like that one because it's so true, and there's so many people that do that in their life. They carry on doing the same stupid things, or maybe not so stupid, it's just not getting them what they're asking for but they don't change what they're doing. They don't change what they're being. So please, please, please choose what works for you. Find what works for you. Some people choose art as their therapy. Some people choose drugs as their therapy. Both medicinal and non-medicinal. Please just find what works for you. I'm not recommending social drugs as an answer. I'm just saying find what works for you. And I'm waffling while I'm filling in my paint. The target is to get a reasonably even coat all over, which is what we now sort of vaguely have. So there we go. And next we're going to clean our hands and pick our colours out. So what I'm looking to create is one of those lovely pretty wavy things that goes whee. So we need some, but if you ever looked at one of those paintings, one of those waves, they're not a single colour. They're not just a light blue and white. They're not just a light blue and a dark blue and a white even. There's turquoises and there's all sorts of colours in there. So we're going to do all sorts of colours. How's it get any better than that? So I'm going to start off with Prussian blue, which, as you can see from the stick, is pretty dark. And I'm going to just pour some of that on there. And then we've got ultramarine blue, which is a little bit lighter, but it's still quite, it's got a more of a royal blue. And then we're going to go with some turquoise. And these are all colours that I have just purchased from out of the tube from Reeves Paints. Not going to put quite so much turquoise in. And then we're going to get some cerulean blue, but I'm going to leave a patch of white. Okay. Now, I know this sounds like I know what I'm doing. But I don't, guys. I'm playing. Now, the other thing that I know a sunny day in paradise has is some sparkle to the water. So I have got some iridescent medium here, mixed up as if it was paint. And I'm just going to drizzle some of that on top. I'm not going to pour big blobs of it, but I'm going to flick some around just to add some sparkle into all of those colours. Alright, and I'm just going to close this door. Seems to be a bit of noise going on outside. What I'm going to do first off is I'm going to do a swipe this way. As you saw, I put a lot of paint down in this bottom right hand corner. So I'm going to, resorting back to my business cards again, a business that I no longer am building dynamically. So I'm just going to scrape some of this paint up off the ship that's poured off. Alright, so business cards are awesome swipers, but you've got to be aware that they do bend. It's really easy just to get them a little bit out of shape, and that makes them not quite so what's the word? even a swipe. So I'm just going to swipe over that way. And then move the card down a bit and swipe over again. And that's just blended those colours together. And even though I've got no silicone in there, I am actually starting to get a little bit of interaction going on. So I'm going to turn it over to the clean side, and I'm going to drag, I might just put a little bit more iridescent medium up here to drag with. And I'm going to drag up and round. And then grab another business card. And just gonna, that first drag actually got rid of some of my dark colours, which I would like to have back in there for the drag. So just putting some manually in, filling in the gaps, just so that the darks, not so much there. Alright, let's do it again. Swip, swip, swipe. Now, bearing in mind, as I said, this is solely and only paint. Getting that might be my challenge today, I think. I'm just going to gather some paint up. Off the ground here. And I'm just playing, guys, just playing. So I just dipped straight into the white, and I'm gonna come back and just create some shaping. Now, I like the shape, I like the power. I don't like the fact that I just dug a hole there. There's not enough bubbles. How do we make it look foamy? We apply our silicone on the top. This is my plan anyway. So all I'm going to do is just put a drip of silicone oil. I use dimethicone, coming in the form of personal lubricant. And I'm just going to flick. Flick, 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 flick. Just one drip of silicone, guys. That's all I had on my fingers. And just rubbed it around and flick, 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 flick. And that has definitely foamed it up a bit. And I'm just gonna see what I mean by the card gets a bit bent, especially when it gets wet. And it makes it really hard to get a nice flat drag. I like it. I like it. I like it. I love it. All right. So let me get you down and show you, because I'm not going to play with this more because I like it. I like it just as it is. If there's any area I would play with it more, it would be maybe to soften some of this up here, but I don't think I'm going to. I have no idea how much iridescence is going to be in this because it's mixed in somewhere. We'll see when it dries. Let me get you down and show you close up. Alright. Look at this. Okay, so can you see all those divots in the white paint? That's where the silicone flicked. And there was no colour for it to push aside to find. It just pushed aside and found the white. Then that's okay. So any of these silicone cells all came from me flicking my fingers. Isn't that cool? There was already some lacing up in here, but it was this sort of fine lacing. But then the flicking on of the silicone just really made it real bubbly and foamy looking, which I think is so cool. I'm so glad I'd discovered the flicking on of oil. Someone else started the whole dipping the ends of your comb and doing stuff like that, but that takes way too much time and energy in my world. So once it dries, those divots won't be obvious, just in case you're worried about that. The only kind of really needed to come up a little bit more in this area here. And I'm kind of thinking, do I play with it? Do I reshape that wave? Or do I just leave it be? But look at the colour depth in there. By having that turquoise and cerulean, we've got 4 different blues in there if you count turquoise as a blue. It really does give it just that extra depth and that extra quality. I like it. and it's summer here in New Zealand. It's been a bit cold the last couple of days, but it is summer, apparently, according to the calendar at least, maybe not the weatherman. Alright, so I'm super happy with that, and I'm going to leave it to dry, and I'll be back in a second or two your time to show you the dry result. So stay tuned. I'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And here it is, all well, almost dry. There's a little patch just down here that's still a bit shiny, and I'm not going to touch it because I know I will leave fingerprints, but I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, there is a little bit of shape argument that you could do, that down here really should be joined up down here, and waves don't just come up like that, they come up from behind. And you know what, I still like it. It's super cool. I even like this little dot of iridescent medium over here that I should have probably done something with, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's just a spit of water that landed. It's still glistening in the sun as it's letting go. I don't know. Let's see if we can find some of that iridescent medium in here. Just in through there's a little bit. It doesn't seem to have much of a glimmer, a shimmer, like we've had in other paintings where I've used the iridescent medium. It hasn't created that shine. And sometimes that's to do with how opaque the paint is. But I do like it. I do like it a lot. It's just so funky. So there you go, guys. If you are inspired, I would love to see what you create with this. Please, please, please share it in the Acrylic Pouring for Fun Facebook group. And obviously, if anyone would love to have this hanging in their home, please contact me. And what else is possible? How much more fun can we have? Thanks again to all of you who support me both on Patreon plus through the PayPal link, and for all of you that just allow those ads videos that show up in the middle of this or at the beginning or end to play. Noisy motorbikes. And for those of you that are always wondering, what is this plant that I sit my paintings on? It's called a hebe. It is native to like Chile type area, but there is also native versions of it here in New Zealand, so we call these natives to us as they were here before the imports came, the people came. So anyway, I had fun. I hope you guys have, and I look forward to playing with you again in the next video. Bye bye.